exchange for tapping on your screen for half a year and spending most of your time doing this.
If you're the smartest person in the room, then
you're in the wrong room,
right?
Sometimes by bad and stupid things,
Yep,
sometimes by good
sometimes
things.
ulterior motives that aren't good.
Yeah. Who was this guy who actually told you, hey bro, have you seen this Bitcoin stuff?
The political environment, maybe we can get into later and how that affects
Love
crypto.
it. Of course, if you're not VIP client, talk to us personally and do all this stuff. You young, you don't know things, just shut up and don't fuck.
We might have to cut this out.
If it smells like shit, it's probably shit.
There we go. Some exciting stuff, guys.
Hi, Kolo friends. We're continuing with our series of Dubai podcasts, and today we have an amazing Brian who's running business development for GSR core business activities. And I think, Brian, you can tell our listeners more about yourself than I could. So, hi.
Hey, Kolo fans. What's going on? Brian Horn. Dimitri is nice enough to have me over here on this podcast and super excited. But yeah, hit the nail on the head. I'm actually here from New York, a few conferences going on out in Dubai. I'm actually fresh off a panel at Cosmoverse.
Nice.
So a couple hours later over here on this podcast and super excited to chat today. Dimitri mentioned I work at GSR. We're a regulated market maker, particularly out of Singapore on the regulatory side, focus on market making, liquidity provision, on centralized, decentralized venues, over-the-counter trading, as well as venture and investments. So focus on those three core areas of the business. And GSR has been around for quite some time. So in November, it'll be our 11th year. Makes us pretty much the oldest.
Year.
Yeah.
Wow.
The oldest market maker in this space and one of the largest as well.
Wow, it feels like when you guys were starting, half of our listeners were just going to school. So, it's been a while. Was there even any kind of crypto activity back in this year? I will come to it later, but coming to historical background is extremely interesting to me, and I think it's a great way to introduce you to listeners even more. So let's maybe start with you as a person. I saw you have a decent financial background, having your internship in Credit Suisse at the beginning and basically starting your career from really tough financial things. I also have financial education, so I'm always very, very excited to see people from the similar background. And maybe you can share with us, what brought you to this market? How were you starting your career? And what was this clicking point when you actually thought, all right, now I need to give a chance to this crypto Web3 something where people are talking about this groundbreaking technologies and everything.
Yep, exactly. So you're definitely right there. So I guess a little bit about me. Again, as I mentioned, I'm from the States. I grew up in a small little town outside New York City in New Jersey and ended up growing there, went to university out in the East Coast as well at a small school called Trinity College, actually, where I played college basketball. So a student athlete there. And when I was there, it was more general studies, liberal arts, and studied political science. Obviously, a lot going on in the political environment. Maybe we could get into later and how that affects crypto.
Love it.
As well as economics. So that's kind of where my primary focus was. Had a lot of people kind of around me growing up that were on the finance side of things, and always just piqued my interest, just business generally. And during my school year, I guess actually through my alumni network, particularly in basketball, I was able to land an internship at Credit Suisse, focus on kind of a plethora of things. I was able to be introduced to all different types of markets within both fixed income, equities, different types of investment bank, from prime brokerage to sales and trading to, again, different type of trading instruments as well. And that's what I knew I wanted to do. So when I was able to land another internship the following year in university at Cantor Fitzgerald, that's where I wanted to end up. So ended up starting my career at Cantor Fitzgerald post-school, which is let's say, not small, but not bulge bracket, I would say mid-size investment bank, mainly focused on fixed income. And there I started within prime brokerage, but within the financing business, particularly on the fixed income side. So I was doing interest rate sales, a lot of repo type trading, so repurchase agreements on the financing side. And that was my first kind of foray into finance and understanding kind of the backbone of the economy, essentially what repo does and what the FOMC and Fed does all day, right, on like Fed funds rates and everything along the lines of that. And yeah, as I kind of moved into, I guess more adapting and understanding the business a little bit more, we were actually building out our equity finance side out at Cantor Fitzgerald in Europe, particularly London. And as I was young, had limited accountability from a like personal side, I jumped out to London to help build that business out. So when I say equity finance, I mean swaps, stock loan, things along the lines of that. And that time of my life is when I started to kind of dig deeper into crypto. I was earlier in crypto in 2017 just for the fun of it.
All right. Who was this guy who actually told you, hey, bro, have you seen this Bitcoin stuff? Like, because we always have this friend like who's being like, yo, have you seen this stuff? You might actually learn a lot about it. Yeah. So how did it look for you? Was it some kind of friend of yours, or were just, scrolling the web and found some group on the web? Like, what was your starting point?
It was more so college roommates my senior year in university. Everyone just talking about, oh my God, look, check out these YouTube videos. Look at the potential of Bitcoin. Check out my Coinbase app. And it was nothing crazy. It was just kind of going through the house I was living in, and it started off as fun and just something I was looking at, and honestly kind of forgot about it until 2020. Good thing I did buy a little bit. Obviously did sell a little bit later, but that's kind of how I initially got into it just from a personal standpoint. But when I started digging deeper in 2020, again, on the equity finance desk, we were trading a lot of GBTC. So for people that don't know, it's the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Probably at the time, it was only, I don't know, $2 billion in assets under management. And if you knew it, I don't know, 4 years later, it was 40, close to 50.
Yeah, 40%.
And it kept coming across our desk, and actually a lot of funds were looking to short GBTC. So meaning they're just looking to short Bitcoin. And in equity finance, it was above 90% short interest. So it was very hard to find GBTC to be able to lend for these funds to be able to short, meaning there was so much demand. So I was like, what is GBTC? What's Grayscale? And why do they think Bitcoin is just going to drop significantly within the next few months? So that's when I started to dig deeper into crypto, into Bitcoin, into the institutional side of crypto generally. Although at the time it wasn't a great time for the market, I was just so intrigued by the technology once I was able to kind of dig deeper and get into this rabbit hole.
All right, nice. And from institutional point of view, like what was your biggest, like, what was the biggest thing that you found out? Because basically, I think a lot of people who are basically being in this retail part of market are very, very interested about how does it look on the institutional side? Like, what do these people have in their minds? Like, how they feel the market, how they treat it, which kind of signs do they use to make their decisions? So maybe you can share about how you actually found something out for you from this institutional point of view when you were researching.
Yeah, I think, well, a lot of what decentralized finance and crypto, particularly at the time, and what we're kind of still doing is trying to cater to institutions, because we know at some point institutions are going to come in. And when I recognized it, obviously some people were earlier than I was, but when I recognized it, I realized how nascent the institutional side is and how nascent infrastructure is, and just how much opportunity there would be for someone to be at the forefront of those things for when institutions come in and when volumes and liquidity and influx of capital come in. So what I was doing on the prime brokerage side is you cater to institutions, right? You help with clearing, you help with trading strategies. You're essentially a full-fledged service provider for a lot of these hedge funds and other different types of enterprises and institutions. So when I thought about that, I was like, you know what, I need to get out of this space, and even if it were a risk at the time, I need to get to a firm. If I didn't find it, I need to find, or was a founder of it, I needed to find a firm that was looking at this because it's a big opportunity. And I don't know if you remember in like 2020, 2021, 2022, probably the beginning of it, right? Like you heard prime brokerage all the time. It was kind of a buzzword, and everyone was trying to build it because that's where an opportunity was. So that was kind of my first jump into the space. It was like, how can I find or join a team that is looking to do this, do it quickly, efficiently, but also on like above board on a regulatory side.
All right, and this is going closer to my next question. Is about how you joined GSR. Yeah. Like basically, what was the thing that introduced you to the team, or how did you find out about GSR and actually decided that, yeah, these are the guys where I want to work at. I want to go exactly there. So what was this point? How actually you made it?
Yeah, no, great question. So when I was speaking about everything before, right, my first foray into crypto professionally was I was an early employee at BlockFi. And what BlockFi was looking to do was build out this prime brokerage, almost a bank generally, right, where you have the retail side, you offer interest, you offer trading, you offer essentially just all of these services to get collateral, to get capital into the door. And how you do that is on the institutional side, which they were creating a prime brokerage, which is lending, financing, trading with credit on platform, looking at direct market access for futures and other products. So I was like, this is incredible, and I knew people that were already there. So that's my first foray into the business. But when you're focusing on that business, who are your clients, right? Like your clients are hedge funds, whether it's crypto native hedge funds, whether it's more institutional, traditional hedge funds, but are looking to dip their toes in the water, but with decent size. You get a lot of market makers and prop trading firms, because to help with their trading strategies across different platforms, they need collateral, they need margin to post on a lot of these different exchanges just for margin purposes and collateral purposes, so they can cross-exchange arbitrage. They can take control of certain opportunities in the space. So I knew a lot of the prop traders and market makers, right? And just being in the space, at least for a little bit, you know who the players are, and I knew GSR really well. They were a client, albeit a small one, because they don't do a lot of prop trading per se. And when I looked at my next step, I was like, well, I want to get more on the trading side, but want to be closer to token projects, to founders, a little bit more to DeFi, because that's where I believe the space was going to be. So when I left and started to kind of look out there, GSR was top of my mind and a place I wanted to be, especially going into 2021, where the market was booming.
Oh yeah.
And GSR took advantage of it. So that's definitely where I wanted to be, and ended up there.
Nice. It's an extremely cool way of actually how you launched with your like big scale career in crypto. And it's always very interesting for me to listen, because I see two types of join the crypto thing. It's either you become the very big fan of it and you research it a lot and you do a lot of activities just, on DeFi everywhere. And then by some chance you start your own project or join some big project because people know you and so on and so forth. Or it's other way, like when you're coming from, let's say, traditional finance or banking, or you were doing any kind of Web2 business, and then something clicked in your mind. You were like, all right, I want to work in Web3 right now. Exactly. I want to go there. This is the thing that I believe in, and I will be there. And actually, like, for me, it was quite different. I sat in Jones Lang LaSalle back then doing financial management for Amazon. And at some point of time, my musical producer just introduced me to one of the hugest guys on the market. He was just like, I have this American guy who does something in crypto. Let's just go and talk to him about like how to earn money in this space. Everyone says that crypto is cash, like cash is everywhere. I was like, all right, I might help you, no problem. So we went there and we just had a conversation with this guy. And I was so skeptical about crypto back then. I literally felt like it's a big bubble, like big scam. And this is what I told him straight from the beginning. Like, since we started our conversation, I was like, all right, guys, crypto is a scam.
Yeah.
I don't believe in it. And he was like, yeah, I also think so. But isn't traditional finance a scam either? And I was like, what do you mean? And then the whole story, guy worked on the Wall Street in 2008, faced the financial crisis, saw how people actually missed the belief that the life gonna continue after that. People were literally going out of the window. And so he just told me that, since I saw this financial crash, I actually understood that with traditional finance, something is wrong. And so when I was introduced to Bitcoin, I just had this thing in my mind that it's the same thing, but it's backed up by the technology. And so I actually love the phrase, and I always repeat it, that traditional finance is based on people belief in government, and crypto is based on people not having this belief in government. And that's it. And so basically, like, what we have out here is this beautiful technology that is covering us up. And so that's why we have bunch of financial instruments that is built one on the layer of another one, and have it in just, the scale of pyramid going up, and allowing people to have fun out there. This is the first thing, because crypto, it's all about having
definitely fun.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whenever I'm seeing the Web3 company that is trying to keep this bulky face and being super serious, I'm being like, guys, who are you trying to fake? We all idiots here. We all having fun, That's all about it. Every crypto conference, everything, since you kind of breaking the ice with the people, you see that we all are this type of nerds that are just, love scrolling Twitter, reading some news, researching the market, and being basically fans of it. I can say that crypto is my hobby, and all of us can say it, right? And, coming back to the thing that we were talking about, it's all about the market making and about GSR. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about two main business ways that you guys have, and starting from market maker, because I think most of our listeners are still quite unaware of what market making is and how it works. So I think you guys are the best prospect to talk about market making right now, because we have a bunch of market makers and we all know what happens right now with them, and we all know how tight, I would say, their regulatories are. And so from the perspective of one of the most credit market maker right here, what can you tell me about market making, how it works, what it leads to, why is it needed, and how it makes the benefit for the space?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think maybe a couple things to touch on that. Well, one, just to add on to what you said, right? It really is unbelievable the amount of people the amount of smart people that are in this space now. And I really believe that some of the best builders, most innovative people are in this space. It's just, you got to get to a point of consolidation, which I think we're going to get to be able to really, really flourish, and for this space to grow and for mainstream adoption to come. But yeah, it's unbelievable, the different backgrounds, right? Like, you have engineers that were coming in and people learning different coding languages because they see opportunity. You see people from Web 2, you see people from traditional finance that want to come in. So it's unbelievable. And for people that are just getting into this space, like, definitely, if you are an enthusiast, I implore you to get into the space and look for opportunities. I think people here are very encouraging. I think people are uplifting. I think it's a lot different from certain business lines, to where you could be a 22-year-old founder and people can allocate money to you for your business, albeit it is difficult. Or you could be 25, 26 years old and be very well respected in the space, to where in other business lines, people won't even speak to you until you're 35 in regards to, like, your opinion and for you to opine on things. So I know that wasn't the question, but just wanted to kind of put that out there because you mentioned that. And I think
I love this line, especially the thing about the age, because I'm young myself, and after coming back from this traditional finance background, you still feel like you always had this kind of, stare at you. It was
Yeah.
always like, you young, you don't know
Right.
things, just shut up and, don't
So
talk.
no, you're too inexperienced. Can't
Yeah,
do
it's like, when you're gonna be 40, we're gonna
Yeah,
talk.
yeah.
But right now, just keep
Wait,
your
wait
mouth
till
shut
you're a
and
vice
listen.
president. Or
Yeah, and that's it. And in crypto, what I really love about this space that, as you said, you can be well-respected founder at 25 or
Yeah.
even at 23. And I see a bunch of young guys, even younger than I am, who are already, making big moves in the industry. And, nobody chases them for their age. Nobody actually treats them bad because, you're like 20 and
Exactly.
you're doing something in the business. No, that's it. It's all about what you have in your mind and how focused you are on the thing that you do. And if you provide a really good product for the market, if you do something that is beneficial for the entire space, you're going to be well respected. And this is what love about it. And also the thing that you said, that everyone is extremely interesting in this space. And that's what I love actually when I joined Web3. Basically, comparing to all other businesses and all other types of activities that people do, I basically see that, if you work in corporate job, let's say, or doing something on your own, you still face a lot of people who just don't have anything in front of them. I call this type of people, and I'm sorry for being maybe rude, but it is what it is. Like, there's type of people who I call NPC people. They basically don't have anything in front of them. They do not dream about anything. They do not think about anything. It's just, like living on an autopilot.
Yep.
It's like turning on this button in your Tesla and just going on a highway. And in crypto, basically every person I meet, they are main characters. Everyone has this fire in their eyes. Everyone is driven by something. Sometimes by bad and stupid things,
Yep,
sometimes by good
sometimes
things.
ulterior motives that aren't great.
Yeah. But, like from the perspective of how driven people are, it doesn't really matter because everyone is pushed by something. Everyone has something inside of their heart that literally screams to them, man, go forward, do it, win, talk to people and do something. And this is what I really love about this space. And yeah, like this lyrical, how is it called? Like small remark was extremely cool. And I love the, I would say, philosophical part of how we treat this space. But let's come back to the market making
side.
Yeah,
Agreed.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like, to our listeners, like from your perspective and from perspective of GSR, what market making is, why is it needed, and which kind of value does it bring to the market?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for anyone that doesn't really know it, I think first thing I should say is market maker, it's a wide spectrum, right? And sometimes almost a misnomer, like liquidity provider maybe could be a little bit better, but there are different ways to provide liquidity, right? Like on the over-the-counter side and facilitating liquidations, or specifically on the trading side of things there, over-the-counter trading, like that could be quote unquote like market making, liquidity provider. But there's prop traders, right? I would say there's a spectrum of a service provider of market maker and then prop traders as well. Prop traders are more hunting for alpha quants that are trading their own book solely to make money, rather to provide a service and liquidity for a specific instrument, right? So let me maybe rewind back to like think of market makers in traditional finance, right? The big names are the Citadels and Virtus, right? So they are creating liquidity, clipping bid-ask spreads, but ensuring there is liquidity and encouraging volumes in traditional equity markets for retail consumers, speculators, people to trade efficiently and effectively, right? Similarly, in crypto, this is what we're doing and what we brought to the space, right? A market maker is meant to provide a seamless, efficient trading experience for people to get in and out of trades to ensure that there is liquidity, depths, tight bid-ask spreads for execution, right? If you're a mom and pop looking to get in and out of the trades, having small size, you want a good experience. If you are a large institution, you want the same thing. So if there is slippage and you're getting in and out of trades and losing a ton of money, you're getting disencouraged and you probably won't trade this certain instrument, right? So what I say, I think there are three pillars to market making and liquidity is that you want tight bid-ask spreads, meaning that say if you're like a gaming project and you have a token and you need to buy this token in crypto to utilize in the game as a utility token and you're buying it at $1 and you realize you bought a little bit too much, and you have to sell some back in the market, but
Yeah.
you're selling it at 90 cents. That's a 10% difference, and you're losing a ton of money off a simple trade, right? So market maker ensures that it's very tight bid-ask spread. Say it would be $1 to 99.8 per day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the initial pillar. Two, you want continuity of prices across different exchanges to mitigate kind of arbitrage, right? So meaning that if I had a Bitcoin USDT pair on a Binance, but a Bitcoin USDT pair on a Coinbase, you want those prices to be equivalent, right? Otherwise, if you're trading on exchange and there's a huge discrepancy in price, you're also going to be disencouraged because you could have got a better price somewhere else.
Yeah.
So continuity across different exchanges, but across different pairs, right? In crypto, you have multiple pairs. You have a BTC pair, ETH pair, Sol pair, whatever it is. And then you want layers of depth as well, meaning that you don't want slippage either pushing upwards or downwards if you're buying a large amount. So you want to ensure that there's one, a mom and pop could go in and buy $100, but an institution could go in and buy $100,000 without considerably moving the market, right? So that is more of a service provider, market maker approach, essentially creating the conditions for liquidity and for a efficient and seamless execution environment for people to trade in and out. So what people don't know primarily is that if you're trading, especially in crypto, anything outside Bitcoin and Ethereum, probably 80% of the time you're trading against a market maker, right? They're ensuring that you have, that there is a bid, that there is an offer, sometimes buyer or seller of last resort. So that's kind of what a market maker should be doing in our instance. But then again, as I mentioned, there are prop trading firms that will trade either volume or just looking to profit through their trading strategies, whether it's cross-exchange arbitrage opportunities, whether it's different relative value type strategies. So there's massive difference between those, and just wanted to point that out. But again, that's...
So maybe in simple words, like three main differences between prop trading and market making firm.
Yeah, I would say the main difference is just essentially just prop trading firm, hunting for alpha, trading your own book, a market maker service provider, ensuring that there is liquidity and support for the token or for an equity that you're trading. So that's the main difference there.
That's nice. And so immediately I have very on the top question, which I think all of our listeners also going to have. In order to provide the liquidity as a market maker, where did you get this liquidity from? And how it generally looks on the market? Because there are a type of market makers who take the liquidity from the project, especially if they're trading some low-tier projects. And there are market makers, institutional ones like Kronos Research and so on and so forth, who have their own liquidity and they put this liquidity to the exchanges. And they basically being a liquidity provider for them. So how does it look for a GSR? And maybe you can just, from perspective of your expertise, share with us how it looks.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question because that also varies in regards to how different market makers operate and different strategies and structures, right? So there is a bit of a range, and maybe I'll go back to traditional finance again too, to where a Citadel or Virtu are able to short a stock intraday, right? They buy and sell, but they're able to sell because they're not naked short, because they're able to borrow via stock loan from a Goldman Sachs or a JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley, borrow that stock to be able to short it intraday, right? You don't really have that in crypto outside of Bitcoin, ETH primarily. So what a lot of market makers do, like a GSR, we actually have to go directly to the token issuer or the foundation or the project in that sense to be able to borrow tokens, right? So that's what we do, right? We borrow tokens that's used on inventory as inventory on the offer side. So as people are looking to buy and the price pushes up, we have the inventory to distribute. And on the way down, we're able to support via our balance sheet and that capital that we have internally. I think GSR has a really strong balance sheet, so we're able to do that where others necessarily can't. Sometimes they have to borrow capital or stables or USD, as well as the tokens to be able to provide that liquidity, or sometimes just borrow tokens to sell the tokens to have the stable coins or USD to support. But that's how we do it. Others aren't as lucky to have a strong balance sheet. And again,
I mean,
do the
others
things that
are
we
not
do.
operating since 2013. You know? It is what it is.
So there are different ways of how people do it. I could also get into how I've seen bias. I think that us having a strong balance sheet enables us to provide the best liquidity because we don't need to borrow either, both stable coins and tokens to be able to do it. And we also don't need to sell for stable coins to be able to get stable coins and to be able to do it while others can. And there are other different models, like a retainer model, which is where you're getting paid on a monthly basis and maybe get tokens as well to be able to do it. And then a profit sharing model, which I could get into, which is maybe not the most regulatory friendly type. And then what I alluded to as to what we do is it's like a loan and repurchase agreement model or an option model to where we're able to monetize and agree on a long call option or a strike at a pre-agreed price.
I see. That's nice. And thank you so much for explaining. I hope that it made it clear for our listeners. And right now we have more understanding of what market making actually is. And let's finalize the market making explanatory side with very simple thing.
Yeah.
Let's just take an example of one of the recent projects that you guys launched and which you actually market made. I don't know how to say it.
Provide liquidity.
Provide liquidity for them. Helping
ION.
them when launching on the exchanges and everything. Let's just go step by step with the chain of actions that appear when the product is being launched with help of GSR.
Yeah. I would say GSR from our standpoint, we're more on the service provider side of things and really want to be consultative and work with projects from early on, because we're ultimately working together. If they do well, we do well, right? So we want to be helpful from tokenomics to go to market to helping with exchanges to eventually provide liquidity for maybe sometimes on the investment side. So we're equally aligned with them as well. And then when they go to market, we're obviously or TG have their token generation event, or we help them get listed on exchanges. Then we're providing the liquidity for them via the token, the loan and option model that I alluded to, which helps us provide, I think, the best quality liquidity, because if you're above the pre-agreed strike price, we're actually distributing as the price is moving up. But then it's going to sound weird to say you want your market maker to distribute on the way up, because once it comes down, we're incentivized to support the token and the token price to bring it to the strike. And that allows this even side liquidity and generate more volumes in a sense, or provide more liquidity around the strike price. So you have this even side via the inventory, via our balance sheet, and providing liquidity around the strike price, but more importantly has a volatility dampening effect. And as we all know, crypto is probably the most volatile asset that we know.
That's why traders love it.
Yeah. So
it's where volatility is, the traders are.
Who doesn't want to trade vol? There's so much money to be made,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
That's interesting. And one more point that, you kind of predicted my next question from the perspective of investment side, because I know that GSR also invest in a project that it market makes. And how does this side look for you? So let's say some project comes to you saying, hey guys, I want you to be my market maker. How do you put them through this due diligence process? How do you ask them about their past, maybe about their future? How you really make sure that this project going to be something legit, and then make decision of, we need to put some money in them as well?
Yeah. Well, it depends on who the project is. Obviously, we're not going to invest in everyone, right? It's we've never raised outside capital or anything, so we're investing off our own balance sheet as well. So sometimes it's just a little bit more on the advisory consultant side, but on the investment side, right? If we really do have conviction, then we'll certainly invest. And sometimes it's just to show good faith as well, and to help almost incubate a project as they're kind of looking for runway and they need help with a few different products. But I will say that, well, one, GSR, it's kind of On the investment side, it's it's secondary to kind of our core business on the trading side. We don't necessarily lead rounds. So a lot of times we don't kind of want to put our name down and then have them use the name and show other, I don't know, VC firms, investment firms to be like, oh, GSR's in the round. But on the due diligence side, I think it's looking at everything from like from security to audits to understanding the founders, right? I think you get a lot of founders in the space that just are here for a quick buck and maybe aren't willing to build in the long term in a bear market. And then it's also about kind of what we're bullish on in the space from a narrative standpoint. Do they have product market fit? Where do you see kind of engagement as well as a bit more traction as well? But it also depends on the stage. Earlier on, sometimes you're kind of investing more so in like founders and product market fit and where the space could be rather than the traction as well. But that's kind of how it looks like. But it's multiple conversations to understand all of this and kind of delve deep into mechanics, how things are working. Is it something innovative rather than just another, I don't know, AMM on another chain, right? So I don't know, you have to kind of look at the innovation aspect and what they're building too in that aspect. So
I see. And about founders, I think this is a very interesting point that you mentioned, that you need to look at the background of the founder, understand who they really are. Are they ready to build in the bearish market, experience, so on and so forth? Yeah. But here appears the next question. What should the young founders do? Those who didn't have any projects in the past and they just decided to do something, put all of their souls in that and actually coming up with something new. Because from my personal perspective, what I see right now in the market, that you're not gonna make it really if you don't have proper connections, if you are not for that long in the market, or if you don't have any kind of mentor who's gonna introduce you to the people in the market. So maybe not even the comment about it, but some small recommendation to the newborn founders for guys who are just starting with their projects, how to get in, how to get the proper traction, how to show to the potential investors that you are the legit person. Yeah,
it's also a great question, and I could keep it simple, then I'll expand a little bit, but it's focus on users, right? Like I feel like in crypto, founders neglect users and where the market lies, right? I think we're very product focus. Everyone's always pushing a narrative. People are building products, hoping that a market picks it up and that users will pick it up. Exactly. We're not focused on users and where users are and how to integrate that, right? So it's focus on a user base, focus on a market that is already existing and cater to that, right? That's how you create something innovative. That's how you create something that people need rather than hoping people are going to need a product further down the line. So once you have that, doesn't matter how experienced you are, I think people are going to flock to you. You're going to have strong advisors. People are going to want to be involved. Ideally, and I'm sure if you're able to do that, you're going to know the space and why there are needs there. So naturally going to be smart. So it's follow users, think about users, cater to users rather than stop trying to create a product and hoping for a product market fit. Find the product market fit and infiltrate it.
Yeah, this is like what I also found out for myself since I joined Web3 Space. I basically see a bunch of founders who just have some revolutionary, groundbreaking, cutting-edge idea, but they never think about their GTM. Like, how can you make people use your product? You can be 20,000 times revolutionary, but your product is just not needed. And this is what I see here. You know, like in DeFi, people are making layer on layer on layer, adding everything, trying to put some different ways of change liquidity and blah, 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 many very smart words. But at the end, they don't get anything. Like they literally do not get users. They do not understand why people need their product. They just have an idea that, yeah, I want to make this technology. And when it's going to be needed? Probably never. And so many founders who do not see the finish point, where are they heading to? They just be right here, right now, thinking about their great idea and trying to make something out of it without the proper roadmap.
Yeah, right. It's why you get a lot of times people build something that's a great idea, but it's not what anything wants now. So it's like there could be a great product, but bad timing. And then maybe in 6 years down the line, whatever you built is kind of non-existent, and people are now building it because they spot that there's a need for it then. So it's, again, find users in the product market fit rather than just fabricating something that you believe could be used at some point and have people flock to it. It just doesn't really make sense. And I think just, I don't know, young people and just generally people in the space need to just attack users and be user centric and focus. So, and you've been in the space, all these founders, you're a founder yourself, and what you guys are doing at Kolo is also awesome, and attacking a payments remittance need, and a lot of things that we don't have on the card side, hopefully rolling out in a little bit, but particularly in emerging markets for you guys, which is, I think, is going to be just generally the biggest need for stablecoins, for remittances and payments on a day-to-day basis when you talk about hyperinflation and everything along the lines of that.
And it's even like, according to reports, stablecoin payments right now at its top. Yeah. It comes, I don't remember the exact number, not gonna lie, but right now it overcomes even the traditional finance payments. So cross-border payment in traditional finance right now, it's about $44 for cross payment in the commission, and for crypto payments you can get it almost at zero cost. So right now people are getting mad crazy about transferring their money in crypto. That's why we think in Kolo that payment solutions is the future of crypto, because starting from the beginning of my career, I used to meet a lot of founders, a lot of people who doing something groundbreaking and trying to bring new technology, but I was always asking the question, where business side is here? I don't understand where you guys actually gonna make money. And running something just to run something and not having any profit will not lead you to anything. All these kind of teams, they just get the funding, spend the money, and die at some point of time. Or they go to round A, round B, round C, and just, give me more money because my business doesn't generate any revenue and I don't know how to survive. And if you ever took any kind of business studies, you understand that your business plan should require the point where you actually need to tell yourself how you're going to generate revenue, right?
And I think that's such a good point. And I think that's where money is going to go soon. It's going to be outside of all these infra plays where they're, I don't know, let's say they're 200 plus L2s, things along the lines of that on the infra side. I think money is soon going to go into revenue generation apps.
Exactly. And this is what I see, because, I'm just looking at crypto market as a traditional market, but very early stage. And so at the beginning, people were just throwing money into the projects because they didn't understand anything. It was like, I see some future in there. I more or less understand what they're trying to create. So let's give it a try. Especially VCs back at the times, they had bunch of money, bunch of unlocked money, so they could, put it everywhere. And what I see on the market right now, that VCs haven't fixed their profits because of the previous cycle, because, bunch of projects were screaming how revolutionary they are. So even looking at deep inside, many projects were there, got bunch of investments and, no returns. No returns.
A little bit of vaporware, huh?
Yes. And we just see that, VCs, not most of them, but a lot of them are struggling with having free cash flow. Yeah. And that's why right now it's way harder in crypto to get the funding, because right now, whenever you get due diligence or whenever you're pitching to somebody, they get very straightforward question. How you guys gonna generate revenue? Where the money gonna come from? I don't want to throw my money in another useless project. Yep. And this is just the thing. And so I just see that market is getting more and more mature, because every time you fall, you actually learn from your mistakes. Definitely. You understand what was wrong, and next time you do not make the same mistake. And so more and more mature, plus regulations. I think we had one-on-one conversation when I mentioned it, that I personally love that there are more regulations in crypto right now, and all the DJs gonna hate me right now, guys. I'm so sorry, but
he's right, guys. He's right. We're gonna need it.
We need it. In order to have mass adoption, we need to have regulations. Yeah. We need to show to the people from non-Web3 space, from how I love saying it, that your grandma needs to understand how it works. We need to have very simple UI. We need to tell people guidelines and everything, making them step by step understand how it works. and we need to have the proper verification, so they not going to be scared that it's going to be something
exactly
that's going to lead them to jail, right?
Well, you hit a great point, which actually I spoke a little bit on my panel today, which is well, one, on the regulatory side, you couldn't be more correct. I think you hit the nail on the head, to where we're gonna need regulation. You need regulation in order for Web3 to grow, and like degens may not love it, but ultimately it's to protect retail guys, to protect us, right? And that's where more liquidity is going to come in. That's where more mainstream adoption is going to come in. Some of these larger institutions are going to come in because it's going to be more regulated, and they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable. That's going to help us build more complex infrastructure to lead more institutions in. So you're so right, and it also adds two things which, like, we could also talk about is, one, trust. Right? Trust for institutions to come in, trust for additional mainstream adoption, but legitimacy, right? You could have, and you mentioned your grandma, you could have an incredible product, but if there's not a sense of legitimacy, people aren't gonna drink the water, right? You could like bring them there and they sniff and they're like, I don't know if it's legitimate. They're not gonna drink it, right? You could bring them to the pond, maybe they won't drink it. Like if you told your grandma, hey, check this out, an incredible tech, incredible product, super seamless. Your grandma would be like, but who else uses it, right? Like,
yes.
And without like a sense of legitimacy, no one's gonna actually pull the trigger and use the product. But it's different if you have large institutions in, and your grandma sees, oh, Walmart is a partner. Oh, Starbucks is a partner. Oh, Amazon uses the product. Then that's where you got legitimacy, and you're going to get the mainstream adoption. And that stems from regulation and working with regulatory bodies.
And here I think you also described in a very simple way about what business development is. Because actually, like, all the people, when they see that you are a BD in this space, they be like, what you do? I just don't understand which exact field are you operating in. Are you marketing? Are you like, strategic planning or something? I just don't understand. And this is like very simple way of explaining it. Making the trust to the product through other projects and through big names. You actually made it like you put your product to somebody else's product to increase your trust. Because you yourself, you believe in the product that you're working on. You understand how trustworthy, let's say, it is. You understand how backed up it is by the team and by all the experience that you guys have, but people do not understand it. You cannot just invite them over to your office and show that, guys, here's our code, guys, here's our financials. Like, you must go through, understand everything, and then you're gonna have the trust. Of course, you can put it on GitHub, you can make your financials public, but who's gonna read it? And this is the question.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough to say, and I want to hear your thoughts, but like, for institutional adoption and for mainstream adoption, we need that. And product technology could be great, but also right now, when we're talking about now, a lot of people don't care about technology or low latency or high throughput type tech. It helps, and I think soon enough that will attract institutions once they feel a bit more comfortable. But right now, and I hate the word, people, especially retail and degens, they want to make money. Right? They want to have fun. Hence, like, some of these Telegram mini apps and Pump.Fun and Memecoins, right? It's a lot of attraction right now in crypto. It's not about fundamental. It's about sentiment, and it's about vibes.
Exactly.
It's about vibes.
Like, I was already telling it on other podcasts, but I still, going to repeat this thing. Meme coin trading is just pure gambling, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, a lot of crypto just generally is, right?
Yeah, and it just like, it's like a Ponzi scheme. You need to know where you put your money out, right? And this is what people love. People love having very high ROIs, and people love, feeling this adrenaline whenever they trade. And so it's very, very similar to what you do when you're putting everything on red, right? What you said about Telegram, I really love it, because actually what we see that Telegram brought a lot of retail to the market.
Yes, so much.
I personally concern Telegram as the browser for Web3 products right now. And when we do not talk about Ton only, it's about all the chains. We see Solana is going to Telegram. We see BNB is pushing hard with Telegram right now. base is going there. Like everyone is going to Telegram just because it's very easy to use.
It's also, it brings users,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You get the traffic. Yeah.
Like, looking at Kolo, could you imagine like a couple of years ago that you can launch fintech product in June and get almost 10 million users in October?
Yeah.
It's impossible. It felt like, really impossible thing. I remember having like 200,000 visitors on your webpage per month was a huge number. Right. And you were like, okay, we have 5,000 connected wallets. And everyone was like, wow, 5,000 wallets, that's so much. And now with Telegram metrics, people be like, all right, how many? 40 mil? All right. It's just getting crazier and crazier.
But do you think Telegram has brought so many users and retail, but what do you think, how do you think they're going to execute it, right? Like, how do you think they're going to make it sustainable rather than people, just having fun, tap to earn some of these games and memes? What do you think is like the best next step? How do you think they need to like execute stickiness and keep people, I guess, within Telegram or just on chain?
Yeah, I see. And this is a very legit question. And a lot of people in Telegram space are talking about it right now. Because I remember back in June 2024, that was a conversation between me and my CEO about Telegram mini apps dying in 1.5 months.
Yeah.
Then 1.5 months passed and we were like, all right, maybe 2 more months. And they still there. Nothing dies.
Yeah.
People are still excited. But I just personally see the fact that people already do not believe in tap to earn thing. Because basically, like, we saw many projects already been launched who were just, you should tap and we're gonna give you a bunch of money in return. And people believe in that. But when, Hamster Combat went live, people were screaming on the web. They were mad. People spent hours and hours just clicking on their phone screen, believing in something.
How long are you gonna do that for, right? It's like finally leverage that. That's not gonna create stickiness and sustainability. Leverage those users that you brought in, right? Telegram has become like one of the most widely downloaded social apps recently, and maybe has almost 1 billion users or close to, maybe
it's very close
900
to
plus.
900 something, yeah.
So please, Telegram, please, crypto, leverage what we have here and bring them into the space to create stickiness, right? Like, Telegram's done such a good job of seamless integration of wallets and people being able to play these games and navigate, I guess, Ton Chain or others pretty seamlessly. But like, now bring them into like DeFi. You have a seamless like wallet integration. Now bring them into maybe like some of these gamified AMMs, or let's try and kind of boost up and propel DeFi as DeFi has been slowing down. DeFi tokens have been slowing down. It's like, let's leverage these new users that we have into what crypto has been about on the decentralized finance side. And I think of any chain, Ton is very well equipped, but has an incredible chance to do that, right? Bring them into StoneFi and Bloom or other different decentralized applications that are there to kind of leverage the new users. And I really hope that they can do it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what we actually had in our minds when we were starting Kolo, because I personally saw that there are a bunch of tap to earn apps. There were already a bunch of tap to earn apps on the market back then. Not as much as we see right now, not as many, but bunch of them still. And so my vision was that we need to leverage this community. We need to bring something valuable to them, because we all saw, everyone who was in crypto for quite some time understood that at the end it's gonna end up as what? As airdrop, I don't know, people gonna earn 10, 5, 15 bucks maybe, and that's it. For what? In exchange for tapping on your screen for half a year and spending most of your time doing this. And what we realized that we should use the same mechanic, but at the end, we put people to something useful, to some product that's gonna make their lives easier. And for a retail person who has crypto, I had this question for me. What's the easiest way of cashing out your crypto? Because whenever you have your savings, let's say in stablecoins, or you hold them in Bitcoin, or you invest them into anything, and at some point of time, you're just being like, all right, I need to cash out a little bit. How you do it? You go to your local physical exchange. You go to Binance, Bybit, or whatever SEX in order to P2P there. you use some on-ramp solutions, but they all are bulky, slow, and it just
Multiple
very
browsers,
complicated.
different wallets.
Exactly. And what's one solution for that? Having everything on the same wallet, having this wallet applicable for all types of users. So if you are as retail as I am, let's say, for example, I love simple products. I love having one button click and that's it. I don't like this bulky, complicated things when you need to spend a lot of time. I love having it on the go, holding my phone in one hand, just, walking somewhere, boom, boom, and it works. So I love custodial solutions. I love custodial wallets. I love when it's simple. You have just password login, some 2FA, and that's it. It works in a very simple way. It just makes you run your things without thinking about it twice. So we have this thing. We have self-custodial solutions for people who love merging this secureness and awareness of their money being on their storage exactly. And we have Web3 option for people who love having this 12 words, 24 words, remembering it, writing it down, doing all this crap, but, still having it on their hot wallet. So 3 options for all types of users, where everywhere you can deposit any type of your crypto savings. It could be meme coins, it could be altcoins, it could be any types of things that you have out there on the market just for your convenience. So you won't be like, all right, on Kolo, I cannot find this asset, so it's complicated to go to Binance. Nah. You can put it on Kolo because we support it. And afterwards, you just top up your crypto card using this exact balance and go to your local coffee shop and buy coffee with it. Or you can go and buy an iPhone. You can do whatever. So just respect the limits on the card. Of course, don't go that hard. You can go and buy some mansion, with it. Of course, if you're not VIP client, talk to us personally and do all this stuff. But actually just, for daily spendings, extremely comfortable, useful, boom, boom, click, and it works. And this is the thing. And also one big concern that we had is that all the crypto cards that we saw in the market before, I personally used, not going to mention our competitors, but, I used to use a couple of other competitors' cards. And what was the problem? That at some point of time, you just get randomly blocked. They just tell you, all right, your card is not supported no more because your document is blah, 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 or maybe because of this, or maybe because of that. And you don't have any way of fixing it. Or they just generally close the card campaign and you don't have this card no more. And so at this point of time, people started to lose the belief to crypto card just because they were not working properly. So one of the biggest goals for Kolo also is to provide stable service. It should work 24/7, allowing our users to deposit, spend, receive, and do everything that they want with their money. Should it be fiat? Should it be crypto? Should it be anything? Like, as we say, we do not like fiat here, but without fiat, you cannot survive.
We all need something trustworthy and secure and reliable, right?
Exactly.
That's ultimately what you need.
Exactly.
And what you guys are doing, right, especially filling needs where you need to fill needs, right? Like particularly in like LATAM and other kind of emerging markets, right, for you guys. And especially in those different areas, jurisdictions, it's really tough to have on and off ramps and to have access to all of this. Usually commissions are 5% and don't have access to these type of kind of remittances, payments, cards, which is why I think crypto is going to be massive in those areas, particularly on the payment side. Yeah, and I think you guys are kind of infiltrating a market where there is a ton of mind share, or at least will be a ton of mind share, and a lot of opportunity. So
exactly. So just bringing the people service that they want. I had it myself. I wanted a crypto card. I wanted to have a easy way to spend my cryptos. And then I just had a call and was like, yo, want to talk about Kolo that we building right now, that we're thinking of? It's like, yeah, what's that? Crypto cards?
Yeah,
sure.
It's kind of like a sales mechanism, or you talk about business development. It's like, you don't want to push something on someone. You ask someone, what do you need?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're like, I have exactly what you need. This is how we accomplish it, and we do it for you. And you're like, does that sound great? Of course, it sounds great. Just told you that's exactly what I need. So that's how you create a business, and that's how you sell, and that's how you get users and ultimately flourish as a product and love what you guys are doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And also, it brings me to, and let me know what your thoughts.
Sure.
Are you a big believer of, because we talked about trustworthiness, reliability, are you a big believer of more old school, but obviously degen still believe in this, the general trustlessness, permissionless ethos of crypto, where everything needs to be open source, on chain, done on chain, and have these kind of permissionless, trustless type projects? Is that what you still believe in, or do you believe in that retail and people just want great execution, seamlessness, trustworthiness, and access to everything all in one? And if you're able to kind of do it without the trustlessness and permissionless, do you think people would enjoy the product and be users and garner activity?
I still think that we need to respect retail and make the product that is understandable for them. And what I just see that the loop looks like this, the funnel, that we can onboard people through very retail centralized product. Then whenever they're already caught, so let's do it in a simple way. Telegram mini app. Tap to earn mini game. You invite a lot of users. All of these users do not understand what they do. They just have some, expectations from you. But whenever you already onboarded them, you start putting them to the product. Then you get onboarded to some centralized product, very simple, where you have everything, accessible through a couple of buttons. And then you start teaching them what is Web3. So they already do something with their assets. They already making transactions, maybe trades, whatever. And at some point of time, just putting the seed of having this permissionless and basically, decentralization to them, and sharing why is that so through your marketing campaign, through some small integrations to your app that give them benefits. Because of course, what people want benefits. Yeah. And this is how DeFi got popular. I think, staking, farming, and everything just made people like, all right, I can earn
points,
15% API
points
here.
And quests and everything.
Exactly. And you put them there. And then they start to touch the base. They start to understand what it is and why is it useful. And natively, they get involved into that. Because if you're just going to come to the user, like let's say, come to me 4 years ago and tell me that you need to use this DeFi product because it's cool. I wouldn't say it's not cool. I don't understand how it works. It looks like trash. I don't want to use it. And this is the problem. So I think there are two main things that the industry need to do in order to make this thing happen and make this thing happen for retail user is make DeFi simpler, make UI better looking and easier to access. And yeah, guys from StoneFi, really huge respect. And to all the apps that are built right now on Ton, I just love the UI. Yeah. It's the thing, I'm looking at them and, I compare it to my beloved MetaMask and it just works and it looks good and it's quick and I love using it because on my phone right now we have 120 hertz screens. People are being more involved into quickness. It should be quick, it should look good, it should be easy to use, and this is the first thing. And the whole DeFi should go into this direction. Less browser apps, more apps on your phone. If it's the web page, it should be quick, it should be easy to operate. Definitely. With, right?
I think we get into, you mentioned UI, UX. That's going to be everything, right? Yes. That's going to be everything for adoption as well, and to get quote unquote normies into the space that people tend to talk about. We should be embracing that and catering to these normies to create a better UI and user experience on chain. My point is, I just don't think people care about the decentralized nature or permissionless nature or trustlessness nature as much as people think. I think if behind the scenes or if there are transactions off chain rather than on chain for efficiency's sake and to create a better user experience in DeFi, I think people won't care. Yeah. I think if you have the efficiency, if you have a better user experience, people just won't really care. And I think you're seeing that in certain aspects, whether it's protocols with hybrid infrastructures, maybe they're semi-permissioned, or if you're talking about intent-based protocols, which are becoming big now, intent-based networks like Anoma or protocols like CowSwap or Uniswap X. People don't realize that It's meant to have a better user experience, right? You have intent. Okay, please swap my stable into ETH, but only at a specific price. Behind the scenes, there are solvers or like market makers or these traders that are actually doing it off chain, not on chain, which people don't realize. Sorry if you didn't know. But it's done off chain, because if they did it on chain, you run into computation issues, right? So that's done off chain, but people also would rather have these intent-based protocols and intents because it's a better user experience and efficient experience. So that's kind of my, I guess, hot take, that people don't really care about the general ethos of everything that like decentralized finance was initially derived on and built on. I think if things are abstracted away and it creates efficiency, if things are done maybe not to exactly what the ethos was built on, I think that's fine, and that's where things actually may go.
And yeah, and this is like what I wanted to mention. It's my second take, that I just see this entire decentralization club as the cult. You know, since I joined the space, I was hearing about everything should be decentralized, everything should be on chain, no centralized products at all, no government, no nothing. Yeah. But I think it's still like a miracle. It won't be possible to make everything that decentralized. Like starting from the creation of Bitcoin and a general Bitcoin white paper and the idea that we all chasing here, yeah, that's true. But we should all live on this planet, not somewhere in the sky. And we need to understand that with current situation, my personal opinion, but I see that as just impossible to do it this way. Because whenever you're trying to go very decentralized, they're still going to centralize you. And basically, all the people who live in these dreams about entire decentralization, I really feel like it's a cult. That, you know, they have their mind, they have their vision, they just, you know, think that it's going to be possible. That's all right.
But there are cults everywhere in the space. It's how Memecoins are derived from, and what's going on with the frenzy in memes, is particularly in Solana, right? Yeah. It literally is a cult. But like sometimes it's a great thing when I don't know if people know about like Murad and his presentation on the Memecoins super cycle and his bullishness in 2025 with some of the memes, but that all derives from cult-like communities for memes, right? People have a purpose, people market together, they believe in kind of the ethos and general kind of background and initiative of some of these memes, and they feel like they're part of a community and ultimately a cult, and whoever could build the biggest cult can I don't know, make a token moon essentially. So
that's true.
It's funny that it is a very like cult like business in certain circumstances.
Yeah, but like without building a cult, I think you won't have loyal people, and you know that's the thing.
Of course,
because you know, like I think, you know, like talking marketing ish, like every company makes some sort of call for them. Yeah, I could say, you know, people with Apple phones and with Android phones. Like it just entire cults, you know. You cannot explain to the guy with Xiaomi that, you know, your iPhone is better, and you cannot explain to the guy with iPhone that your Xiaomi is better. It's just a thing, you know. People are being very deep in their beliefs, and I think that still pushes the product forward. Definitely. And, you know, it enlarges the entire ecosystem. Definitely. And you know, it's beautiful.
The only thing I'd say to that is that it does, but you don't want too many factions of cults everywhere, because at some point, to create a kind of wider decentralized economy and more people and influx of people and capital, we're gonna have to marry things together, whether it's like degens, institutions, or cults of cults, and that all stems from, again, we went to regulation, but interoperability and composability between different chains and liquidity between different chains. Like things are gonna have to be married, and things are a bit too polarized right now. But I think generally like the space is working on it in all different facets, whether it's from infrastructure or just improved tech innovation. But yeah, that's kind of, I guess, my 2 cents there for sure.
I see. And it leads me to the next question that I have. Maybe you can share with me your, let's say, top 5 takes on the ecosystems in the space right now. So you mentioned about, you know, having it cross-chain and actually allowing people to operate through entire space. But actually, like let's just discuss 5 main ecosystems that you're very bullish on yourself.
Yeah, no, I would say, but you're right. There's definitely fragmentation in the space, and we're always going to have to figure out a way to make chains, cross chains, like interoperable. Like Cosmos itself has always had great tech, very innovative people. Like when people think about like liquid staking or shared security, things along the lines of that, Cosmos was the like initial innovator. Essentially, they just haven't been able to monetize off these innovations. It's gone to Ethereum. It's gone to other L2s, other monolithic chains. If they could work on that and figure something out there, like I think they'd be in really good shape. Just they're lacking DeFi a little bit and smaller comparatively. And I think within Cosmos, like app chains, obviously you have IBC and you have the interoperability there, but then you think about like asset breadth, and it's how can you unify assets from all these different chains to be able to consolidate liquidity and be able to buy in one application, one DEX. So that's not just a Cosmos thing; that's in kind of everywhere where a chain thing. Then obviously you have Solana, which is a monolithic chain with very much high throughput, low latency, very low gas fees. Obviously run into some like delay issues once in a while. But what they've done just is incredible of an environment. Everyone's excited about every asset, every application. You have Jupiter as an aggregator, which has done like an incredible job of aggregating liquidity from different dexes, from like Radium, which has also done a great job from where it was almost unusable from user experience to where they had their V2 to now it's very seamless, to different perp dexes like Drift, which is very innovative and recently built their prediction marketplace too, and some of these NFT marketplaces like Tensor over there. But obviously like Solana is probably at the forefront of things just from sentiment, users, and just kind of ease there. But then it goes to like we're gonna have to incorporate others and other chains. On the Ethereum side, L2s and these scalability and infrastructure layers and rollups have kind of taken over. You have Ethereum as the network, and then it was, okay, how do you scale? And then you have Optimism, you have Arbitrum, and then you had the kind of ZK rollups, and then you had OP rollups, but then you also have other L2 ZK EVMs like Linea, and the only issue is that it's kind of been a detriment to ETH, to where it's almost like become the consensus final settlement network rather than people actually ever using ETH. The scalable issue is that like because it is the final settlement type layer and network, you could run into like gas fee issues, and if you're bridging between L2s, it's created fragmentation, and bridging, you have issues with bridging risks and which bridge do I use. But outside of that, obviously super bullish on Ton, as we discussed, just like how they brought in users and are so well equipped and able to leverage that to bring it into other use cases like DeFi.
But do you think that is actual Ton thing, that how many users there are already, or it's more about Telegram being the base of it?
It's a great question. I would say it's more of, I think they were the first to leverage Telegram to be able to do it. So I think it technically is a Ton thing, but because they were able to recognize the Telegram being a perfect medium to bring users in. So both, right? Kind of a chicken and egg type thing there.
Yeah, I see. And that's very right. And I love that you said about Telegram is actual thing that brings users in. And I even had this comparison in my mind that I faced a bunch of Web3 browsers on my journey, and they all were trying to make the same thing that Telegram actually did. But the biggest difference was that Telegram was already one of the biggest messengers in the world with huge user base that basically integrated this thing inside and let all these people use the products that we all thrilled about here. And all the browsers that were appearing, they were just trying to make it out of nowhere. And I still think that marketing is one of the most important things still in order to get the users, to make these users use your product and to make them excited. Because I love from this, when we caught about being the target of marketing. How it even works with Dubai chocolate. Like I saw all over TikTok, like all over everything, Dubai chocolate. Everyone needs to try it. People getting crazy about it. And so, I'm not the threat of marketing, but still I'm coming to Dubai. And the first thing that I have in my mind that, all right, I need to check this Dubai chocolate because I heard about it from everywhere and everyone was talking about it. And so even if your product is not the best, but it has good marketing, people still going to use it.
Yeah, it's a great point, and that's like that the space is primarily about distribution, right?
Yes.
It's about marketing, it's about distributing to users, having awareness of it, and that's what brings people in. But once you do, you have to keep them, right? And then to create stickiness, you need a killer app, a pillar app, and depends on what it is, right? Like for Arbitron back in the day, it was GMX. For Solana, maybe it was a multitude of things, but like what created the like last year's frenzy to start was like Jito. You still need to bring people into the ecosystem. Ton, I guess, were like you had the Notcoins, Hamster Combats, and Catizens bringing users in. So it really is all about distribution. And I guess maybe to add another ecosystem and chain, can't neglect the move ecosystems these days, man. You got like Sui and even Aptos making a bit of a run with users, but a lot of attention to Sui. I want to hear definitely if you have any thoughts on the move ecosystem or just move ecosystems in plural. If you know much about them, I know it's a lot of people can be siloed in their own like chains, and
actually I'm just keeping it somewhere there. I don't have proper time to dive deep into that.
No, it's tough.
And
tough.
And it's very tough. So right now, whenever I hear about Sui, about something like that, I'm being like, you tell me. I don't know. Like, and I'm not trying to pretend to be very knowledgeable in that. So I'm be like, yeah, you tell me, I will learn.
It's growing like crazy, and obviously the price is correlating with the user base too. So a bit of
this is the only thing that I heard. Sui is growing. I still don't know why.
Yeah. But then obviously you get with like Sui growing, and for like EVM compatibility, you have like Movement Labs. Shout out to kind of Rushi over there. He's a homie and good guy who's building that, like another modular L2s. And these are going to be interesting too, some of these modular L2s. Although there are a lot out there, some of the like Eclipses with the SVM bringing that to Ethereum, and the Movement Labs bringing Move to ETH are pretty interesting ones too. So we'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, the space is just innovative and exciting, and there's always something going on. It couldn't be more dynamic.
Every day something new. Yeah. And about L2s, because every time I hear L2, I'm just like already another one. Why? And so maybe you can explain to me, and I'll learn even something myself. Like, what is the biggest purpose of having so many L2s? Because there are like a lot of them right now. Everyone is trying to build their own L2, and let's say makes Sui stand away from everything that is out there. What make some of the solutions better than others, and how it actually works?
Yeah, well, Sui is a little bit different. If anyone knows kind of the like Facebook and DM guys, right? It was based off Move language, and they wanted to bring it to blockchain. And Sui and Aptos were the ones doing it. They actually all were ex-Facebook employees. Supposedly, like some were more business development guys, some were more like tech guys, and built almost like competing chains to an extent. But just with Move language, I think it's from a developer standpoint pretty easy to adjust to, even if you're just like Solidity, Rust type like folks coders. But I don't know if you use a chain, not saying I'm like an avid user and checking out a ton of the dApps, but even like a Deepbook, which is their primary like hybrid DEX and Club on chain on Sui, super seamless, very much a high throughput, like low latency type chain that could combat with like a Solana. So that's kind of the enticing aspect of it. And then again, it's about distribution. As people are starting to learn a little bit more about it, check out the chain, piques curiosity. That's what's going on in Sui, and a little bit of the hype, particularly with a lot of marketing and KOLs that are kind of pushing the narrative on Twitter there, but also like great teams and super smart people. But on the L2s, I think L2s are built up maybe just for trying to come up with solutions to certain narratives that haven't been fixed at the time, right? Like obviously the initial solution of L2s is for scalability, right? It's for transaction wise and for latency issues on Ethereum, it was never going to work and they had to be scaled. So you had these roll-ups, obviously Optimism and Arbitrum, initial ones, and then others surfacing, like you had Scrolls, which are like ZK, so they're ZK rollups and have like privacy elements to it, and circuits, which like are a little bit more focused on security and small iterations to an extent. And then you have like the modular L2s, which is kind of what I was alluding to, which brings execution environments of like what Movement is doing. They're bringing the Move VM, which has a better transaction environment in regards to latency and higher throughput to Ethereum, and it enables like Move dApps to be settled with Ethereum as well. Similar with Eclipse and SVM in Solana. So that's they're kind of like small iterations and bringing users to ETH and vice versa, right? So you have the compatibility between like ETH and some of these different virtual machines.
Yeah, I see. And also, as you said, bringing more users in,
Yeah.
bringing more and more and more
Or
users
to different
in.
chains as well.
Yeah.
But the issue is like then you have so many different L2s, and then you have fragmentation of liquidity between
And this
the
is the
L2s,
thing,
right?
too many L2s, and it's complicated to cross bridge from them from one to another. And basically, it just makes, as you said, it's more segmented.
Yeah.
More fragments comes to the ecosystem.
Exactly.
And it's not from one side is good, from the other side is not.
Yeah, and then as a user, right, which we're talking about users, it makes it difficult because you're like, okay, how do I bridge it to this chain? What bridge do I use? And then you neglect that like there's a lot of security risk with bridges.
With bridges,
sometimes.
yeah.
So,
And then you're trying to find some bridge, and then you can get rucked, and it just very, very complicated.
Yeah,
I remember my first time when I had to, go to cross bridge stuff. I had to pay for some conference ticket in Optimism, I think, and I need to cross bridge my USDT from what I remember to Optimism. And basically, I was just, looking in the web, trying to find it out. Oh no, I had to do it, I think, in DAI stablecoins or some stuff like that. And and I was just like, what is this? What is this
in
chain
DAI specifically?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, how can I do it? And you need to make like 30-minute research to properly understand where you can go, what you should do, read some forums in order to understand what is secure and what is not secure, because you can just not rely on Google. Whenever you go to the first link, you can rug easily. So you need to learn, you need to read, you need to spend your time on it, and it just reduces people's time. And I understand that if I didn't have to buy this ticket, I would just leave in like 5 minutes and don't do it at all. And so it also brings us to the point that if you need to make people do something, you need to have some final destination for them.
Yeah.
So they won't stop in the middle of this journey and just say, all right, I don't need it. Or you should make it simpler. And, simplicity is still a king. I still think that,
Simplicity
whenever
is
it
everything.
goes. Yeah.
Simplicity is
Because
everything.
people don't like complicated stuff. People love TikTok. What are we talking about? It's just the thing that
Almost
right
mindless,
now,
right?
Yeah, exactly. It should be very convenient. Should be one direct arrow that shows you where to go, what to click, and what to do. And yeah, otherwise there's no mass adoption. And maybe let's come to the last, like pre-last thing I would say that I have on my mind right now. Like coming back to market making things, maybe you can name one of the projects that you guys were launching that you were just about to fail with, but still made it. So some like interesting story about how it all went wrong, but then it went in a good direction.
Yeah, it's a good question. Probably one I actually can't answer in regards to names, just because a lot of projects that we work with are under MNDA.
All right.
But
So maybe just the background story without name dropping.
Can say that, right, we work with a lot of projects that are maybe a few top 10, a good amount, maybe 6 or 7 top 20, 20 top 50, and then it goes from even more so 100, and then it could even be further on like the alt side and further down like market cap side all the way to, I don't know, 1,000 or something along the lines of that. But no, I would just say there's never been anything that crazy. The only thing is what sometimes you get into a time crunch because there are a lot of things that are involved in a go-to-market scenario, and you rely on a few things. From, I don't know, sometimes like projects need to hire market makers, but then they have discussions with exchanges and centralized exchanges, and then sometimes if they're launching on a DEX, it's liquidity pools and garnering liquidity there and ensuring those are set up and spun up. And then it's a timing aspect. It's like, okay, how do we do all this in conjunction together, right? And you get into a lot of issues where people are underprepared. They're underprepared with their tokenomics. They're underprepared with their discussions and signing contracts with exchanges and their go live dates, as well as their market maker. So when it's all happening at once, it's just it's mayhem and it's chaotic. So there are a lot of times where people are waiting till last minute to get their ducks in a row. And sometimes we've been in like cases where we didn't think we'd be ready like a day prior, and everything is everyone's on the table. Fires are trying to be put out, but all kind of working together for like last second to ensure there's a smooth launch and liquidity at launch, when ultimately that's where there's a significant amount of demand for a lot of these projects. So you get everyone hands on deck and all of that like right prior to launch, and it's funny to kind of understand the dynamics of different projects, how their foundations work, how involved some people are or aren't, and it's fun. And as I said, it's kind of why I wanted to be at a place like a GSR, because you're closer, you have a hands-on approach, you're consultative, and you see all the things that go to market and all the things that need to go right to ensure that a launch is great, to ensure that there's liquidity, and to ensure that there's a healthy token marketplace, not just on chain, or not just on centralized exchanges, but on decentralized exchanges, and then the utility within the project, whatever it is and whatever sector it is.
About the utility, because I heard once the phrase that good project doesn't need the token and good token doesn't need a project. And what do you think about utility? Like how to, in long-term perspective, make the token price stable, how to maintain people's interests, and how do market makers also affect this thing?
Yeah, well, I think without utility, you're not going to have a good token kind of marketplace, and you're not going to have just a healthy token price. And sometimes that can affect the project and how it's utilized on chain or within the ecosystem or gaming project. I may butcher this, but I'm paraphrasing, and I've heard this for liquidity. Just advice as to what you need, right? You kind of need a flywheel. Ultimately, if you're just going to incentivize people through points or through quests and have people that earn that way, and then ultimately have an airdrop, and that's aggregated or allocated based on the amount of points one has, but you don't actually have any utility or have any stickiness or incentivize people to utilize this on your platform, whether it's through staking mechanisms, whether it's through other rewards, or to earn more, or a certain burning mechanism, then you're gonna incentivize selling pressure, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately that's gonna be tough for your treasury. It's a bad look on your project that you're building, which is sometimes why a lot of projects are hyper focused on the token and too focused on that kind of a price perspective, but neglect utility and a flywheel to where it brings a usage on chain to kind of prevent potential selling pressure, essentially.
All right. I see. And yeah, that's a very legit point.
What do you think as a founder on the token side as to how you look at these type of things and how you want to keep people from, I guess, having a use for Web3 and people to want to hold the eventual Kolo token?
Actually, like the biggest point is to still integrate your token into the daily processes.
Yeah.
So I think as far as your token, because when does it have the demand? When people use it on a daily basis. So this is what we usually bring in when we talk about utility. So when it comes to Kolo token, cashbacks, rebates, and everything, I just don't want to dive very deep in because I don't know when this podcast is going to go live, in order not to show that many things to the users. But it mainly comes about integrating the token into their daily financial operations. So making this token something leverageable for them, making people want to keep this token, making people want to stake this token to earn from it, and to actually get a lot of benefit from what they have in their wallet.
Definitely.
Under their as Kolo ticker.
We should cut mine out and utilize your answer rather than mine. My brain just isn't working. So that was a better response than me. But yeah, whether it's through rewards or currency, something that needs to be used on kind of a daily basis to interact with the project. It's a necessity. Otherwise, there's no use. Why are you holding it?
Yeah, exactly. Because, like whenever projects are talking about our token is so great, our token is so amazing, but I'm just diving deep and, I personally don't understand why should I use this token? Where I actually going to utilize it? It's just, having a token just to have a token. I call it, token for fundraising purposes. You just, you raise from it and then you don't use it. Like, and I don't want to name drop. I don't want to be hated.
And for their individual wealth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and this is the thing that we don't want to have with Kolo token.
Yeah.
We want it to be as utilized as possible to make all our users engaged. So about this mechanics, I think for all of you who are watching this podcast, just monitor our social media. We're going to bring a lot of information in there.
There we go. Some exciting stuff, guys.
That's it. And for the final part of our podcast, I want to talk more about you as a person. And I just have 3 simple questions.
Yeah.
First one is, what keeps you motivated? Second thing is, how do you manage keeping your body and your mind in a condition to do your work properly and to always be energized? Because I meet you in person, I see you in chats, you always smiling, always like very energized, always being in this, like always bringing this feeling that, I'm doing something wrong. I'm like, where do you have that much energy, man?
Being way too nice, way too nice.
And the last thing about what can you recommend to new joiners in Web3 and to generally people who want to make themselves better, to make themselves, as you said, one of the Web3 community members who has this fire in their eyes and literally trying to push forward? So let's start with the first thing, like what keeps you motivated, how you actually maintain this wish to win, to do something, and to become better and better every day.
Yeah, it's a great question, and appreciate all the kind words. I think the same of you, seriously. But I think to be motivated, I think you have to be self-motivated, one, and where that stems from is just kind of a general belief in yourself, a belief in something, and I really truly believe in the space, and I would just work with so many cool people, whether it's internally or externally on the project side, on the VC side, that are so smart, right? Like it's just a simple saying, right? Like if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room, right? Yeah. So there's so many smart people in the space, so many people that are extremely innovative and young, right? So much younger than me in a lot of cases, and sometimes younger and smarter. So just general competitive nature that I have keeps me motivated. But I'd say more so just the space. I've also been through a few cycles like you, and never really get deterred when things aren't great, just because I have belief in where the space is going to be and when adoption comes, right? And I guess from the energetic side, I don't know. Just in nature, like my nature, try to be as optimistic as possible. Got to always look at the silver lining. I think there are always going to be tough times, difficult times, more so than happy times. I think just happiness is kind of a state of mind and can just be a momentary feeling. And there are a lot of times going to be tough times, whether it's personal, professional, just any certain circumstances. So you got to learn how to dance in the rain, man.
Yeah. So that's a very nice.
So you got to learn how to dance in the rain, and something that I've been trying to do, and implore others to do it for sure. And then I guess maybe just to touch on the last question, if you don't mind me.
Yeah,
asking
actually,
what it was.
like which kind of recommendations you have for
Yeah.
somebody who's just joining the space, who just tries to start their journey and be somebody in this space?
It's still such a nascent space, right? I would say maybe in the second inning, it's still so early and there's still so much innovation happening. So it's find your niche. Also, what are you good at? And then figure out what other people need and how you could fit in, but also be open. It depends where you are in your crypto journey. Are you just starting? Then learn about the history of money and learn about Bitcoin, and then dive in deeper into Bitcoin becoming a network and what's building on that, and then move to other ecosystems. And I always say if you have to test things out to be able to learn it. So you got to be a user in this space. You can't kind of fake it and pretend that you know crypto without actually being an avid user. So, and then from there, you network as much as possible. Again, as I mentioned and alluded to, people are so nice in the space, very encouraging. There's so many events going on in every part of the world. It's such a global industry. So network your butt off, meet so many people. You're going to meet a lot of like-minded founders, people that are interested in the space from all over the world. And then from there, just become a holistic, comprehensive person. And from there, you could be dynamic as to what you want to do. I'm a big believer in, I don't think you have to be fully set exactly what you want to do in years' time. I think you just want to absorb as much as possible and have as much knowledge as possible, and then trust yourself to be dynamic and go on a different pathway and trust your instinct. And if something happens, go for it, right?
Yeah.
Right. I don't think you always need a direct pathway. Just improve yourself. And when a time comes, you could divert and figure it out on the go, as long as you're passionate about it, right?
I love it. Like listening to your inner feeling is extremely valuable skill. Like a lot of people are trying to be guided only by their mind and never think about what they really feel. And I think that the expertise you have and your entire experience in this life actually says something to you without even making you think about it.
Yeah.
So whenever, like, I love this phrase. My co-founder tell it all the time.
Gotta hear it now.
And you know, like, it's gonna be a little bit rude, but I love this phrase. If it smells like shit, it's probably shit. And you know, since I heard it, every time
if it smells like shit, it looks like shit, tastes like shit, it's probably shit.
Exactly. So, you know, this thing actually always shows, like, whenever you have this feeling that is something suspicious, you better check twice. When it comes to connecting your wallet somewhere, when it comes to dealing with some people, when it comes to joining some kind of project, always listen to your inner feeling twice.
Definitely.
Man,
trust your instincts.
That was an amazing podcast. I really love this conversation. We talk about literally everything. I hope our listeners gonna like it as well. So once again, thank you so much for joining me here today, Brian. It was a great conversation. I felt like I learned about for myself, and I hope that our listeners did the same. So looking forward to have you in this room or maybe in some other room once again in the upcoming future, and wish you all the best in this journey.
Dimitri, you're the man. Appreciate you having me on. Such a good time and good to meet everyone. Yeah, be on the lookout for what Kolo has to come, rolling out some awesome things and incredible products. So yeah, super excited for you guys.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Thank you.
My man. My man.